Regular Wednesday morning weekly card class to go. Today I am featuring the Thanks a Bunch stamp set from our Sale-a-bration offerings. So if you're new to Stampin' Up, every January, February, and only January and February, they've done it in the past a few times a year, but this year it's only going to be January, February. They offer Sale-a-bration rewards, which is basically for every $60 to $120 order, you can choose something out of our Sale-a-bration catalog for free. So it's kind of a nice little bonus to any order that you may have that you want to place. So today I'm actually featuring the Thanks a Bunch. This is free with a $60 purchase, and it is a sweet little springtime carrot stamp set. And if you have the Sale-a-bration catalog, you'll find it on page 5. I'll just bring this in and show you guys. There's a few sweet little samples here using that set. So very, very sweet. If you don't have this catalog, please contact me if you're in Canada, and we'll try and get you sorted out so that you get a copy of our mini catalog as well as the Sale-a-bration brochure. So I'm going to switch over to just my desktop, and we're going to get started creating. Okay, so here we go. This is our Thanks a Bunch stamp set. And our first card today, so the way my card class to go works is I designed 3 cards for you. And then with a $60 purchase, you get the supplies to make 2 of each of the 3 cards. Stamp sets and inks and all that not included, which is why I have a list of product that I recommend you have at home. Of course, you don't need that exact product. Any orange will do, any green will do. So our first card, I'll just bring it in, says, "Look at you, everything's coming up carrots." And I just wanted to show you a fun little way to use the small carrot bundle in this set. So my kit only has enough to make 1 card, but yours would have enough to make 2. And these are the pieces that are going to come in your envelope. So we've got some black and white gingham ribbon, some designer series paper. This is the Country Gingham 6x6 designer series paper. It's actually currently unavailable until February 13th, but you can order it then. Or if you would like to get something right away that would work with this card set, either of the current or the clearance rack Soft Subtles Designer Series paper pack will have some mint macaron plaid in it. And yeah, so you can choose either of those. So we've got our basic white card base. We're not going to need this until kind of the end. We're going to do our stamping first. So I'm going to set that off to the side. As you pop on, if you want to say hi, let me know that you're here and watching. I love to see who's joining me. So we've got just a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to bring in my little carrot and the little greens for the top. And I'm stamping with Calypso Coral and mint macaron. Now, I don't normally open up both my inks and have them going at the same time. For me, that's just a great way to put the wrong stamp in the wrong ink pad. But we're going to give it a try today because this really does work best if you can stamp the whole carrot with its greens, so that you get the best distribution of the images. So I'm just going to ink up my carrots here. And I'm going to start stamping. But instead of stamping all my carrots and then all my greens, because I want to get these guys quite tightly packed in, I am going to just alternate back and forth, stamping carrots and greens, carrots and greens. And we're doing this until we've created almost like on a diagonal, half of our cardstock covered in carrots and greens. Okay, so I realized I probably should have moved the ink around on my pad. The center of this one is looking a little dry. So I've got that. And then we'll come in and do our greens. Oh, good morning, Danielle. There we go. Do you have this one yet, Danielle? I figured being a farm girl, you might like this one. All right, we're gonna go in this way. Hopefully I left enough space for my greens. Probably should have done them first on that one. So this takes a little bit of time. If you've got a really good eye for proportion and distancing and everything, you could stamp all of your carrots and then go back in and stamp your greens. I do not. I tried that and it did not work out. I had like big weird open spots and it did not work. Okay, so we're just going to do this the slow back and forth way. It's okay. So far I'm doing well. I haven't put my greens into my orange or my carrots into my greens, which is what I was mostly worried about doing. That's just something very like me. There we go. All right. And so this is just like, I don't know, it's a great way. You could actually do a whole sheet and create a designer series paper this way. Lots and lots of different options with this. Okay, I'm getting a little bit bold. I'm going to do a few carrots all at once. We'll see. Okay. One like that. All right, time to do some greens. Yeah, you know what? I just thought it was such a great spring card, and I don't really do a lot of Easter cards, but I thought it was kind of an easy way to do a cheater Easter card without having to buy Easter sentiments and bunnies and whatnot. Although those bunnies are really cute in the catalog. But I just thought this kind of is two birds with one stone. All right, we're just about done. This one might get covered up mostly, but we're going to go in and do them anyways. Okay, so with, yeah, that's good. We've got about half of our card done. I'm going to do one more. I almost put that in the green. I knew it. I'm going to do one more just to create a little bit more of a diagonal. And there we go. All right. So with those guys done on that diagonal, before I put this away, my Calypso and my greens, I'm actually going to grab my envelope and I'm going to throw a little bundle of carrots right there on the front of my envelope. And I'm going to throw a little bundle on the inside of my card base. There we go. And like that. All right. So that's all of our little carrots everywhere to kind of do that decoration. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to put those off to the side. I'm going to put away my ink for a few minutes. Mostly just because I'm worried about dropping things in it. All right. So the next thing we're going to stamp is our little label here. Good morning, Gail. This little label is from our Stylish Shapes dies, and it's kind of the smallest, or sorry, the largest of the short ones. There we go. So we've got that, and on this label, I am going to stamp the sentiment, "Everything's coming up, carrots." So it's nice that it's all one sentiment in that you can kind of really see for spacing and everything, because I'm going to actually ink this up twice, and I'm going to use the other non-inked words to help me line it up on here. So to start with, I'm going to get my Calypso Coral ink pad, and I'm using the end where you would put the end where you would put the label on your ink pad, because that's where your ink pad itself is closest to the edge. And I'm just inking up the word carrots. Then, and then I'm going to wipe all the ink off with my thumb and re-ink it. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we've got that inked up. Now, if you don't like using ink pads that way, you can always use Stampin' Write markers to do this and color in the words. Now I'm going to stamp the whole sentiment. So I made sure that the whole sentiment was lined up on there, even though only the word carrots is showing up. Now, if you're really good, you could have done that all in one go with both the black and the orange on it, but I don't trust myself to ink up the two halves properly. So I always want the option to be able to wipe some ink off of the words if I got it where I don't want it. So now that I've done that, I've cleaned my ink pad. I'm going to come in and use Memento Black and ink up the other words. And this way, if I see a little speck of black on that T of carrots, I am going to very easily be able to wipe it off and not worry about wiping off the orange ink and having to go back in and re-ink that. All right. So that's nicely inked. Now I'm just going to come back in and line this up again. So I'm lining up the carrots over top of the carrots again and stamping. And there you have it. There's our everything's coming up carrots in two-tone, black and orange. All right, so that's all done. We can set that off to the side. Set that off to the side. Now I'm going to bring in this piece, and you will have in your kit a label. This is the, I always forget the name of it, the Label Me Lovely punch. Let's see. I can get it angled so you guys can actually see it. Oh, there you can see all my inks reflected in it. So it's a really nice punch shape. So that's the Label Me Lovely punch. And you've got your label already done. So now you're going to notice that when I put this down, that looks a little bit different than my original sample. So you can really do this two ways. You can put this label directly onto the label as it is, or if you would like the look that I've created here where you can't see the little bits on the side, what I actually did is I grabbed my paper snips and right above, like right where it goes flat on the sides, I actually trimmed that. And on the other side, same thing. I trimmed that. And I cut that out. Now I have this little piece. You can do whatever you want with that. Save it for something else. Recycle it, like whatever. You've got a little piece of DSP there. So I trimmed that. Then I took my label, flipped it over, and I put some seal or any kind of adhesive you want. You could use liquid glue for this, tear and tape, like it doesn't actually matter. Any kind of adhesive you want. I put that on the back of this label. And that one side might not have been close enough. Well, we'll wait and see. And then I took this and I lined it up so that that just stuck. That's not quite straight. There we go. So that stuck behind. And then I did the same thing for the other side. And then, yeah, there we go. Yeah, add enough adhesive. So now we've got that beautiful little label stuck behind, but we don't see it poking out the ends. So I just liked that look a little bit better. So that's one way that you can kind of modify your punches and still get a really cool look. Now, before we put this onto our card front, I am going to use dimensionals on here, but first of all, I'm going to actually attach my ribbon. Now, my ribbon is not this thick on my card, and you're only going to get one piece of ribbon in your kit as well. And then what you're going to do is take, actually, I'm not going to use those scissors. I'm going to use my ribbon scissors. You're going to take your best ribbon cutting scissors that you've got, and you're going to cut this ribbon right up the middle. Now, it's not the easiest, like it's not a fast cut. It's a slow go. But it's nice because this ribbon has the gingham on it, so you just follow follow the pattern, and it's nice and easy to see. So on mine, I'm cutting up the center of the white patch, and you just go really slow. Like this is just a slow and steady kind of process. All right, and I love this because it gives you that black and white ribbon look, but with just a much more dainty ribbon. Not that this one's like super wide and not dainty, but it's kind of nice to have it even tinier. All right, I'm just about done. The last little section can sometimes be the trickiest. There we go, not bad. And if it's not cut perfect, don't worry about it because you're tying it up in a knot and nobody's really going to see most of it. So now that you've done that, you have a ribbon for each of your cards. I'm going to put one off to the side because, of course, I only have the stuff here to make one. And then you're going to make 2 giant bunny ears, wrap them around each other, and you're making like a really big bow. Okay, we want this bow to stick out however you'd like it to off the sides of this label that you've created. Okay, so let me just see if that's going to be the angle I want. No, I want the other angle. Now I have all that adhesive in the center from the adhesive I applied to get my my DSP to attach. So I'm going to use that to my advantage to sticking this on here. Okay, so with that done, now I'm going to come in with my dimensionals and I can see where to place them around my ribbon. So now I can see that I need it there and I can put it there to hold that ribbon in place. Put one there. And yes, I am going to use 4 on here. Maybe I'm going to try and pop that one in there. There we go. And I'm just going to pull that loose thread off. So that is one thing that happens when you cut your ribbon in half is some of the threads might come loose and you can just pull them off and not a big deal. All right, so we're going to, oh, I just realized I should not have peeled those yet because we haven't stamped our look at you. Okay, so those are peeled. I'm going to carefully set that to the side because we're not ready for it. I'm going to stamp look at you on our card front. I have it somewhere. I know I put it on a block. That's so interesting. Oh, there it is. All right, so we're going to take our look at you and ink it up with Memento black ink. And kind of near the top, but off to the side-ish. I'm going to stamp that look at you. And then I'm going to grab my mint macaron again and those little dots. And I love these little dots because they are all in a row, like you get 5 in a row. And I'm going to stamp one set of them. And then I'm going to stamp a second set of them underneath that look at you. Okay, so that's done. Now we can bring in that label and pop it onto our card front just underneath. There we go. And then I'll come in and trim up the ends of my ribbons so that they're staying on my card front. There we go. And we're just about ready to embellish. Before we embellish this, we're going to attach it to our card front. So again, I'm going to use dimensionals, and I'm going to use an excessive amount of them again, 1 for every corner, and then at least 2 in here, you guys, but I'm actually going to do 4 in the center as well, just to really keep it lifted because it's a whole card front. It's a lot of space, a lot of real estate to keep up. Okay. There we go. So I've got that all peeled. Now make sure your card is the right way. Done that before. And pop this onto the front. All right, so now we can embellish this. And let's see, there are my dots. Ay. So drop everything else. Okay, oh, that's not a full pack. Where'd my full pack go? I am looking for a full pack of Milky Dots. There they are. So we're using Milky adhesive back dots for this card. And I'm just going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. And for this card, I am actually using kind of the white ones. They're not actually white, but they're whitish. And I'm just kind of using both sizes and sprinkling them across my card front. So just kind of find the empty spots, the spots that look like they really need something. And there we go. And there you have our first card all done. So just a really fun way to use this stamp set and kind of have some fun with the carrots. All right, so we'll put that to the side. Now our second card, I think, is my favorite one. Again, this is the country gingham in the background, but you can, of course, swap that out for one of the, oh, which one is that? That's the petal pink background that you would find in the Soft Settles Designer Series paper. All right, so grab all of our stuff. We have this same little label again. I think I used them on all three cards. He's my favorite of all the little labels. And for this card, we're actually going to get started right away with our card base and our Designer Series paper. And we are going to glue it right across the center of our card front. So for that, I like using liquid glue. And so we're just going to put a tiny, tiny layer. And if it's not exact, it's not a big deal. But try to get it kind of equal top to bottom. All right. So with that done, we can pop that off to the side. And then you've got actually two pieces of basic white cardstock. One of them is a little bit smaller than the other. That's the one we're going to start with. Okay, so we want that one. We want our mint macaron ink. Oh, and I guess I can put the lid on my glue. There we go. We want our mint macaron ink and a blending brush. And I'm going to take that blending brush and do the very lightest little circle and try not to go out to the edges, because I do find that when you brush along an edge, it kind of catches the ink there and makes it a bit darker, and I don't want that. Okay, so I've got a nice little layer of green there. Very, very light. It's not meant to stand out. It's meant to just be a little bit of a background image. All right, and then we've got this awesome little, they're not really polka dots. I don't know, maybe they're supposed to be carrot seeds, little carrot seed image. And we're going to actually stamp it off before we stamp it on our background. And I'm kind of just doing it around what would be the edges. Okay, that's about it. That's all we need. Yeah, and that is all done. Put that one away. And this piece, sorry. Sorry, we have one more thing to do on this card front, and that is to grab our evening evergreen and the little greenery here. And this one in our evening evergreen, we are going to stamp it off before we stamp it on, and I'm literally just doing like 4 little bundles across the top. Okay, kind of trying to get all my centers to come in to where my carrots are going to lay. So put that off to the side now. And that was all stamped off as well. You don't want the dark evening evergreen on there. It's too dark. All right. So that done, we can set that off to the side and bring in that larger piece that we had. Now this piece we're going to do a bunch of stamping on, and we do kind of want to make sure we're using our space wisely because we need to get 3 carrots and 3 leaves on here. So I'm going to actually start with my leaves right up at the top, and we're stamping them in full strength mint macaron. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So 3 full strength mint macaron leaves. And then we're going to get the largest of the carrots in our stamp set, and we're actually going to stamp it in pale papaya. Okay, so we get that one, and make sure it's well inked. And we go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we had more space than I thought we were going to have. This gives you the opportunity to stamp a few extras in case you mess up, because the next step, it's not hard, but it's also a place where we could make a mistake and need to stamp another carrot. So we're going to grab our Calypso Coral and this kind of interesting lined piece. All right, and we're going to ink that. Oh, I just put my thumb in the ink. Ugh. I'm going to put some Calypso Coral ink on there and then stamp that along the edge of the carrot. Okay, I'm going to do that for all 3 of them. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 3 carrots stamped with, you know what, I think I meant to do that stamped off. That looks a lot darker than my original one. Let's do 1 more carrot stamped off to see if I made a mistake and that was supposed to all be stamped off. Just because I've got the space to do it. 1 more up there. Now if I totally messed it up, I can flip this over and do my 3rd one on the back of one of those. So let's see, stamped off and then stamped on. Yeah, I think I was meant to do that stamped off. Okay, so there we go. Yes, you can decide what look you like more. I do like the stamped off look a lot better. So where that one is, I'm going to do 1 more carrot on the back side. And that is the joy of paper, is it is double-sided. So we want that stamped off Calypso Coral. There we go. Much nicer, a much softer look. Okay. So now we get to do a little bit of fussy cutting. This is actually pretty easy fussy cutting though, because carrots are really not that complicated. So I'm just going to cut that out and then do the other one. So I'm leaving not very much of a border. Like normally I'd leave a much wider border around things that I'm fussy cutting, but for these carrots I'm going to come in quite close to the edge. Okay. I do still want to catch the edge though, because the ink does sit differently on the edge of the carrot than it does on the inside, and I want that definition. All right, now those can go, because those ones were stuck too dark. I'll put that off there. I can use the back of that for something. All right, I do like to kind of cut my things out before I fussy cut them. Makes it a little bit easier to fussy cut. A bit more control because you don't have the rest of that paper in the way. Okay, we're going to zip around. So Sale-a-bration is coming to an end. I can't even believe it. Today's the 8th, so we have 20 days left in Sale-a-bration, and this is going to be the only Sale-a-bration of the year. So this is your chance to get these freebies. It's a great, great deal. And if your order is going to be over, well, really over $135, you definitely want to consider joining my team, because for $175, but with no shipping, you actually get $225 worth of product and a mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, either in boho blue, one of our new upcoming in colors, or in the basic white. So it is like a smoking deal. And if you really don't want that mini machine, for $135, no shipping, you still get the $225 worth of product. So it's like an incredible deal. And then when you do that, these weekly card classes that I offer, I actually give the printed PDF tutorials to my team for free on our group page. And we have monthly team meetings and share all sorts of inspiration on our site. And it's quite a lovely place to be, a nice community of stampers. And of course, you also get 20% discount on your future orders as a demonstrator. And you can bump that up to 25% off if you promote. So it's a really, really good deal. And that's just this time of year. It's still a good deal at other times, but right now it's kind of enhanced. So yeah, definitely want to ask me some questions about that if you're interested in that. Oh, good morning. It just says Facebook user, so I'm not sure who just popped on. But yeah, you definitely need to play with this stamp set. It is such a fun one. And this card I am doing a little bit of fussy cutting. I didn't on the first card, but this one I am. But it's really quite easy fussy cutting. This is taking me a little bit of time because I'm, of course, doing 3 carats on this card. But not a biggie. All right. So I also wanted to let you guys know the clover punch. Last week I came up with an alternative card to using that clover punch and use the ginkgo branches in shaded spruce because that clover punch has sold out. I wanted to warn you that if you've been looking at the Easter Bunny punch, it has now gone onto our low inventory list. And again, once it's gone, it's gone. So if you had your eye on that, don't delay. Now is definitely the time to grab that because I don't think it's going to last very much longer. At one of our team meetings, somebody was saying, oh yeah, grab that bunny punch even if you don't grab the stamp set, and then use like a scallop circle to cut out a little chunk out of his butt or out of his ear and have like the little chocolate bunny with a bite taken out of him for a cute little Easter card. I thought that was pretty clever. So yeah, you definitely want to grab that though. All right, so there's our last leaf cut out. So not too bad. So we're going to take these guys. You can use whatever adhesive you would like to kind of tuck these leaves underneath the carrot tops. And I'm just going to flip all my carrots over and do a little swipe of seal, just because it's easy. You could use mini glue dots, tear and tape. You could even use liquid glue and then just wait a moment for it to dry. All right. So I never like to do this part backwards though. I like to kind of see what I'm doing with these leaves. Here we go. And like that. Awesome. Okay. So with that done, we're going to bring this piece back in, and we are going to start to attach these to our card front, and I am going to use dimensionals to do that. So I'm going to pop the dimensionals on the back first. Now, when you do these, one of them you're not going to want to use a full-size dimensional at the top of. I'm going to use just a mini kind of off to the side, and I am putting a mini on the back of each of the leaves. That's just going to extra help hold them in place. All right, then I can use a full-size dimensional at the top of two of these, and I am using it again to hold that leaf in place. There we go, and down like that. Oops, make sure your dimensionals stay on your carrots so that they're not visible. There we go. All right, so with that done, I'm actually going to start with what I'm going to use as my center carrot. There we go. And I am going to center him. So you'll notice how I kind of made sure to cover up those, oh, and I didn't take the backing off of that leaf, darn it. Oh, I did. There we go. All right, now this one's kind of going to go off to this side. So the reason I didn't put a full-size one here at the top is because I don't want it going on top of this carrot. So when I put these together and overlap them, that little mini piece is still going to be off to the side. Okay, and then I'm just going to twist that leaf before I really push it down. And now our last one, going onto the right-hand side. Now this one, I'm going to slightly tuck under, just like that. And before I attach that, I'm going to kind of turn that off to the side. There we go. All right, so now we have our little bunch of carrots on there, and we're ready to work on our label here. So we're actually going to be stamping two stamps on here, the thanks and a bunch. And so I'm going to do my thanks first in Evening Evergreen, and I'm going to pop it on up high and over to the left. There we go, that looks straight. And then I'm going to do my bunch down low and to the right using my mint macaron. There we go. So I just liked the two-tone on this card again, mixing up those two greens. I think the Evening Evergreen and mint macaron go together so nicely, kind of like soft succulent. All right, and then that's going to get attached there. But before we put it down, we're going to grab a piece of our twine here. This is from our essentials pack of twine. So you get black, white, crumb cake. Oh, I don't know, there's 5 colors in there. Vanilla, and I think maybe gray granite. All right, so we're just going to tie a really loose bow with that and attach it to our card front. So you can kind of decide how big or how little you want that to be. And I am just again going to use a little dash of seal. Oh my goodness. Come on. Little dash of seal to hold that in place. Okay, and then we'll trim those ends in a moment. Now when we attach our label, the side with a bunch on it, the right-hand side, I'm going to put a little dot of seal on it. And the left-hand side is going to get a dimensional. That way we kind of keep our label even. So it'll be raised up. Oh, darn it, I didn't put that in the right spot because I can see adhesive sticking out the top from where I put my twine. I'm just going to push that adhesive back. That's the nice thing about seal is it's these little mini strips, and so they're very easy to remove and maneuver if you need to. So there we go. That is looking awesome. Just going to trim up these ends a bit. There we go. So cute. And now this whole piece is going to go right onto our card front with some dimensionals. And again, we're really going to load it up because we don't want any parts of this kind of sagging around. Okay. There we go. Let's go. All right. So we're going to take this whole front, take our piece that we put our designer series paper onto, and we're going to attach that right onto our card front. Now our finishing touch to this is to grab our milky dots again. Oh, we have a runaway blue. What's happening? Okay, you just stay there. Now I have a few of the large ones still left over from another pack, so I'm going to use one of those for my large one. And yeah, we're using just kind of this yellowish orange one. I'm actually not sure what color it's meant to be, but it works perfectly here with the Calypso Coral and Pale Papaya. And we're just going to pop that on. And that is our second card all ready to go. So another great, either just a thanks or a beautiful little Easter card if you wanted to change up the sentiment on there. All right. And our final card takes our carrots, and I'm not sure if you've seen this. I've seen a few variations of this, but it takes our carrots and turns them into trees, which I just thought was so clever. And it's such a fun little art style. I have a few picture books in my classroom that have that kind of style of art for the trees and everything, and I just love it. All right, so this one is also, oh, thanks, Danielle. This one is a balmy blue card base. Now you do have a piece of basic white that I'm going to put into the inside of my card right away. Oh, that reminds me, I did not decorate the inside of my card on my last one, and I did have a piece of paper here meant specifically for that, just to pop in a little piece of DSP on the inside, because you're going to have a little extra strip. Just popping that in on the inside to decorate the inside of your card. So don't forget to glue that in. Sorry, guys. All right. So for this one, we're just going to take our piece of basic white and get it out of the way by gluing it into our card straight away. Because although you can write on balmy blue, I like how finished it looks when you have the white piece on the inside of a colored card. Okay, so put that away. Now, before we glue our designer series paper onto our card front, we're going to take a piece of twine and tie a little bow way off to the right-hand side, like way off to the right-hand side. So I'm just holding enough there to tie a bow. And then I'm going to wrap this around twice, if it'll let me. There we go. Now I do like to kind of lay this flat so that I can get this nice and tight. And I do tie a knot on my card. All right. Now, let's just get that all straightened out. Now, if you end up tying this knot and it's too loose, I will show you a little trick. I don't know if mine's going to be too loose or not, but there's a little trick to tape the back of it to tighten it up. So let's just get our bow tied first. And just like that. So I personally like that it's kind of sitting sideways, because that means it's going to be out of the way of my sentiment. Now I am still going to move that over just slightly so that's slightly more to the right. Okay, and even a little bit more. All right. So this is just a matter of fiddling with it, you know, a little bit gentle so you don't rip up the edges of your DSP. And then, yeah, if you find that, so mine actually isn't too loose, but if it was, you just kind of flip it around, bend your, well, there we go. Actually, I do have a little bit of give there. So you're going to bend the twine on the back into like a little bit of an S shape, and then you're going to tape it, and that little wiggle in the back just takes the slack out of your twine on the front so that it sits really nicely now. Now, it's not going to be able to be moved, so it is where it is now. And we're going to glue this to our card front. Okay, come on. So you don't want it too low because we are going to be putting our sentiment kind of straddled over top of it. So you want enough space to do that. And when we put the DSP onto the card front, we want it centered on the card front. All right. There we go. Okay, so we've got that done. Now we're going to grab our small piece of white, and we're going to do something a little bit different. That large carrot and the little side dashes that we had for our carrot, I'm going to bring them in and I'm going to give them a good cleaning because I know that they still have pale papaya and calypso coral on them, and we are definitely not using those colors on this card. All right, so with that done, you can grab whatever shade of green you would like. Garden green, shaded spruce, like it doesn't matter. I think I am going to grab, I think I did originally shaded spruce, but I think I'm going to try garden green. I think it's going to be just a little bit more complementary with the other colors that I had. And I'm going to take my carrot, my largest carrot, and ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to stamp it across the bottom of my card. So I've just created like a little grassy area, and then I'm going to take full strength garden green and stamp it across my card as well. And then I'm actually going to do the stamped off a little bit, and one more full strength and a stamped off. Okay, so I've just created a little grassy area at the bottom of my card. It's actually a little bit tinier than my original one, but that's okay. All right, so we're done with that large carrot and our garden green. And now I'm going to grab the two greens that I've been using all along, which are my Evening Evergreen and my Mint Macaron. And we're going to get stamping with these. So I'm actually going to start with my Evening Evergreen and that large carrot again. And I'm going to turn this sideways. Here we go. I'm going to stamp it off and stamp it just a bit above my grassy area. And I'm going to do it again, stamp it off. This one, I'm going to just overlap ever so slightly. All right, then I'm going to grab that piece that I used for the grass and full strength Evening Evergreen, stamp it along there, and again along there. Now you have a few choices for the stem here of your tree, or the trunk of your tree. If you have an Evening Evergreen marker, you could just use that and draw in a marker. But if you do not, no worries. We're going to grab just a little sticky note and cover up. We're still going to let just a little bit of our grass show because we want our trunk going down onto the grass. But you're going to grab that fluffy carrot leaf again, upside down this time though, and add a trunk to your tree. And then when we pull that off, there you go. You have your two little tree trunks there. So just a little bit of a cheater way to get that straight line if you don't have one of the markers to be able to draw that line yourself. And now we're going to bring in the medium carrot that we haven't used yet. There it is. It's hiding away over there. And we're going to stamp 3 more trees using our mint macaron. So for this one, I am stamping them down at the green level. And so I'm stamping 1 tree, a 2nd tree, and then my 3rd tree is going to be just the stamped off, just in the background like that. So I've got 3 little trees like that in the mint macaron. All right. Now we're going to get, there's a little, these little lines stamp in this set. We're going to grab that and use our balmy blue ink, and that's going to create kind of our wispy sky. So we're not going to go too crazy with this one, but we're going to put in a few little, almost like where you'd put in clouds, but it's kind of like the anti-cloud. All right, so we've got that done. And that's just going to tie in this little stand of trees to our balmy blue background. All right, remove some of these inks out of the way. And then our last ink that we're bringing in is our Blushing Bride. And we're going to use that for our sentiment. So we're going to find the thanks again that we used with Evening Evergreen. We're going to make sure that it's really cleaned up. There we go. And we're going to take that same label that we've been using on all of our cards, and we're going to stamp thanks on here all the way off to the right-hand side. There we go. With that done, we are going to start putting this card together. So our cute little tree stand is going to get glued onto our smaller piece of balmy blue with just an equal border on each side. So I'm going to use liquid glue for that. Go. And then we can wiggle that around a little bit. There. And then this piece can get attached to our card base using dimensionals. But before I do that, I actually want to position my label because I want to make sure that my label goes on here and my words don't get covered. So now I can see I need that over a little bit. So I'm actually going to attach my thanks first. And I'm going to trim up the edging on my dimensionals for this. Even if I am not like finished, that's how I'm attaching this one, because I want very thin layers of dimensional on either side so that the twine can run between. All right, so I've got that done. Peel those off. So now this is going to go down so that it's on either side. And I'm just putting it over top of that twine and placing it on my card. Now I can also trim up this bow now that I can see how it's all coming together. All right, so with that done, now I'm going to add dimensionals to my cardstock, but I'm not going to put them all on the back of this balmy blue piece. I'm actually going to put a few of them around just on that one side where I'm concerned that, you know, they could end up hitting this label and bumping it up everywhere. So I put one at the top, but the other two I put directly onto the card. And then the other side, I can just add my dimensionals straight down the edge, and it's not a big deal. And we'll put one in the middle. So now I can peel those off. Come on. and peel these two off. And I can pop this down over top so that it is lined up and covering up the DSP, but not covering up my words. There we go. There. So that's done. And then our finishing touch to this is to grab those milky dots again and add some of the pink ones that I believe are Blushing Bride, and add those to our card front just to bring in that little touch of spring. I don't know, it's like little flowers or something scattered around. So sweet. All right. And that just kind of ties the whole card together. So that is our third card in this card class, and just kind of a different way to use those carrots. Well, the carrot shapes, I guess. They are not carrots. All right, so we've got that. And our first card, which was Everything's Coming Up Carrots. So those are the 3 cards that you'll create in this week's card class to go. With a $60 purchase, you'll get the make and takes to make 2 of each of these, as well as a printable PDF tutorial that I'll email to you. And then with a $70 purchase, I'll actually add in a pack of those milky dots. And then on top of all of it, of course, with a $60 order, you get your Sale-a-bration items as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this card class. And remember that although the country gingham isn't available until February 13th, the Soft Subtles Designer Series paper is available now, and they've got both this year's current pattern and last year's pattern available. And last year's pattern's even in the clearance rack for like $6, I think, for the 6x6 pack. So it's quite a deal, and it does have the smaller gingham in that one. The gingham pattern in this year's pack is a little bit of a wider pattern. So yeah, great deal. And then yeah, if you wanted to recreate a whole bunch of these, make sure to grab some thick basic white cardstock, some gingham ribbon, and some twine, and you are set to go. All right, have a great day, everyone. I'll see you on Sunday for my Sale-a-bration Sunday video. I'm actually not featuring the carrots. I'm doing a little bit of a mix-up with that Legendary Ride motorcycle set and the Into the Country Sale-a-bration set. So something a little bit different this week. So I hope you can join me on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Take care, everyone.